Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Waterbury Board of Education workshop. We'll begin tonight with a moment of silence. Commissioner Stango, would you lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening and welcome, everyone. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Harvey?
here.
Commissioner Hernandez? Commissioner Pagano?
Here.
Vice President Rodriguez?
Here.
Commissioner Stango?
Here.
Commissioner Sweeney?
Here.
Commissioner Theriault?
Here.
Commissioner Jason Vanstone?
Present.
Commissioner Tom Vanstone? President Brown?
Present. Thank you. We have a quorum. All right. Number one on the agenda is Committee on Curriculum, Educational Technology Plan. Mr. Zuda.
Good evening. In front of you guys, you have the technology plan. The committee was reconvened by the superintendent to rewrite the technology plan. The task to examine all goals and objectives and to ensure that they were aligned with the district goals and the objectives. The district technology committee will be responsible for planning, executing, monitoring all progress towards these goals. The district technology committee will also communicate any financial needs to the Board of Education. The district technology committee consisted of 18 members. We divided 18 members into 5 teams. Goal 1 was engaging, empowering learning experiences. That was Maria Burns, Michelle Baker, Paul White. Goal 2 was assessment, and that comprised of Darren Schwartz, Donna Cullinan, Diane Bakewell. Goal 3 was teaching and learning, and that was Steve Strand, Dina Mortensen, and Angela Raza. Goal 4 was infrastructure and teaching and learning. That was Steve Strand, Dina Mortensen, and Angela Raza. And goal 5 was productivity and efficiency. And on that team, there was Nick Chapman, Pat Aspalak, Lauren Elias, and Kevin Egan. The areas of focus were curriculum integration, professional development, equitable use of technology, infrastructure, and telecommunications. On some of the survey results, we did a survey prior to completing this, were some of the survey results I'd like to share with you guys were pretty interesting. 50% of all teachers have 3 or more PCs in their classroom. 86% of all teachers use technology to complement instruction. 95% of teachers feel comfortable who took the survey using technology. 73% feel adequately trained in the use of technology. And 61% of all teachers wanted more Google Apps for educational training. We just received funds from the state technology grant for $3.8 million for technology funding. We will be buying 500 PCs, 1,500 smart Chromebooks, and 50 mobile carts, 167 touchscreen smartboards that we will be putting in. We were 13 schools were awarded, 80 network switches, 277 wireless access points to upgrade the infrastructure, and we will be upgrading the fiber between the data closets so we can get 1 gig to the desktop. Of that technology grant, of all the schools that are applied, there was only 30 schools that were awarded. 13 were Waterbury schools, so we did a great job on getting that awarded to us. So phase 1 would be to upgrade the fiber backbone between the data closets. Phase 2 will be replacing the network switches. Phase 3 is going to comprise of replacing all the wireless access points. Phase 4 will be purchasing the additional PCs and the Chromebooks once we get the infrastructure up in place. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Vice President.
Thank you, President, Madam, to you. Well, as I scroll through this planning committee, I think one of the things that stand out to me specifically, where it indicates that the development of educational plan and implementation of the plan should enable parents, educators, students, and community members to benefit from the investment in technology, and all should have representation on the committee. As I scroll through the list of this committee members, I do not identify one community member. I do not identify one parent. I do not identify one student. And I'm sure my colleague, Commissioner Karen Harvey, can easily find you a parent who would be very interested in participating in this committee. I think that's a huge, I know it's a workshop, I hope it's still a working document that we can incorporate these folks, because it doesn't look good if that's something that we're stating, and yet we have none of those on that list.
Well,
Thank you.
so this is a living document, so our goal is to meet every couple months, sit
Okay.
down, talk. We can easily add 5 members, 10 members. It really does,
I think that should be a
so,
priority.
yeah, that won't be an issue at
yeah,
all.
I
right?
absolutely.
And we'd work with them, bring them on board, and and try to get their input, which I think is right on. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Good point. Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I had noticed the exact same thing under constituencies represented. It was all Waterbury
Yep.
Public Schools. So if the idea is to open this up for kind of the second round here, what are some ways that we can actively recruit the other stakeholders that Vice President Rodriguez mentioned, the parents, the students, and the community members? Have we given any thought to that process?
What we've done in the past was kind of lay it out in send out an email to all principals and say, would you like to recommend, or is there a parent that's actively involved or wants to get involved, and see who's ever's involved, we'll bring them onto the committee. So, I mean, it'd probably just be a quick email or notification to the board, or anybody that would like to join on, then they're more than welcome to come onto the committee.
I think I think that may be a way to get to parents and students, although we've shown that with different degrees of success in the past. But I think we probably have to go a little bit further for community members, because I think one thing this board has to start doing, and we do it a little bit on the city side, but not this, is really leverage better with partners in the community who could truly help with a lot of these things. When we're talking about technology, we're kind of back into the real world, not necessarily an education-specific topic. And we have a number of community members and companies that may be able to help us towards these goals and bring their own levels of expertise from having to do things. So I think in addition to the parents and the students, which maybe we can at least begin the process with a flyer home or an email or something like that, we need to take special consideration to make sure that we get our community members and possible partner companies involved with this.
I agree, yeah.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioner Harvey and then Commissioner Van Stone.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree with Vice President Rodriguez, Commissioner Van Stone. I don't see it, however, as a reach. Anything I can do to help you with that as far as reaching out to parents and to the community, just ask me. There are, the community wants this involvement with the Board of Ed,
Right.
okay, and whatever projects they have. So if you need my help with that, I'll lend myself to that effort.
Definitely, we'll,
Thank you.
any input would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Van Stone?
Thank you, Madam President, through you. To be honest, I was a little surprised to see this before us tonight, because as chair of the curriculum committee, we had some markups, some discussions. We had a very good meeting in curriculum committee, but I did not move this forward. So to see it on the agenda is a little bit of a surprise to me. And although we did not talk about membership, certainly other items that were supposed to be corrected, it was basically put before us as a draft, and other administrative type changes. Again, I'm just going to say, as chair of the committee, I did not ask for this to get moved forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Okay, the rest of the agenda, we're very busy on field trips. I'll try to go very quickly. Number 2, request permission to be granted to Major Mike Simon, Wilby High School, and 8 chaperones to take 70 students to Niantic, Connecticut from April 27th through the 29th to attend Camp Niantic. Request permission be granted to Leah Smith, Crosby High School, and 5 chaperones to take 42 students to New York to visit the Fashion Institute of Technology. Request permission be granted to Barbara Frew and Jeff Shockey, Wilby High School, and 2 chaperones to take 20 students to New York to visit the United Nations. Request permission be granted to Barbara Frew and Jeff Shockey, WAMS, and 2 chaperones to take 20 students to New York to visit the United Nations. Request permission be granted to Barbara Frew and Jeff Shockey, Waterbury Career Academy, and 2 chaperones to take 20 students to New York to visit the United Nations. Request permission be granted to Barbara Frew and Jeff Shockey, Crosby High School, and 2 chaperones to take 20 students to New York to visit the United Nations. This seems to be the same thing. There's different schools, gotcha, okay, all right, okay. I was like, am I reading this correctly? Sorry, okay. Number 8, request permission be granted to Kathy DeFranzo, Crosby High School, and 14 chaperones to take 128 students to Agawam, Mass. To visit Six Flags New England Amusement Park. Request permission be granted to Donna Mancuso, Crosby High School, and 1 chaperone to take 4 students to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to participate in the National Life Smarts competition. Number 10, request permission be granted to Craig Poulter and Robert McGraw, Kennedy High School, and 2 chaperones to take 20 students to Boston to visit the Boston Museum of Science. Request permission be granted to George Flaherty, Kennedy High School, and 3 chaperones to take 14 students to St. Louis, Missouri on April 24th to participate in the first Robotics World Championship. Request permission be granted to Yolanda Lee and Nicoletta Kolaku, Crosby High School, and 4 chaperones to take 40 students to New York to visit the American Museum of Natural History. Request permission be granted to Ariane Solito and 5 chaperones to take 50 students to New York to visit the 9/11 Memorial Museum and Battery Park. Number 14, request permission be granted to Kalina D'Amico, NEMS, and 5 chaperones to take 30 students to New York on May 4th to visit the Met. Number 15 is superintendent's notification to the board.
I have a comment on, if I may,
Yes.
the previous announced trips.
Oh, okay.
We have a lot of trips. It's that time of year, of course, many of which are multiple nights, staying in hotels or whatever. And I just have a question about the chaperones. Are all chaperones on these trips teachers?
I would have to
Teachers.
assume most of them are, but I would have to research each and individual one.
Okay, not to hold these up, of course. Please don't let this mean to hold them up. My concern is chaperones, day trips as well, but mostly the overnight trips, that all chaperones are certainly vetted prior to being allowed to be chaperones. I would like to make the assumption that's already done. However, if a parent or whatever is part of the chaperone group, I certainly hope we're doing some sort of background check on those individuals. A couple of years ago, we asked for a background check on people just walking to schools. So certainly if we're staying in a hotel in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for example, I hope we're vetting those folks. So that's just a question. I don't want to hold up approval,
Thank you.
but I certainly would hope that we will look into the background of each individual that's considered
I
a
will
chaperone.
convey that to Chief Academic Officer Schwartz,
Thank you.
who approves these things.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you.